The Brew House was created to capture and share with you the long history of the Genesee Brewery. But the brewery itself isn't half as interesting as the beer and the people who make it. Visit GeneseeBrewHouse.com. Hi everyone, thanks for joining us at the Genesee Brew House. This is the Rochester Press Box. Got new tables, kind of a new set in celebration of the anniversary of the repeal of the Volstead Act, which is?
That would be Prohibition, right?
There you go.
Yeah, you
It's a
remember
big
it?
day.
Oh,
And some of these old bars still have a photograph of FDR on the bar in celebration of that. I've seen that.
All right.
Carl Falk back with us. Nice
Thanks
to have
for
you,
having
man.
me. Appreciate
Guys,
it.
Mike
All right.
Catalana co-hosting along with a Michigan jersey.
Well, I'm not a Michigan fan, but it's been such a good week for Michigan. First of all, the men's basketball team is 7th in the country, 9-0, and then Urban Meyer is gone, which is great for Michigan football. So let's celebrate Michigan this week.
All right. Hey, let's talk baseball. Hot Stove League, old term.
There you go.
All of a sudden, the Philadelphia Phillies are the main player. I want Mike to kind of address that, but the Mets made the first big move in bringing in Cano. You're a Mets guy.
Well, it's not Cano. Yes, it's the Cano trade, but to me, this was all about Edwin Diaz, the closer they got from the Mariners. 57 saves last year, dominant reliever, and the best part, he's not even arbitration eligible for another year and a half. So they're going to control one of the better closers in the game for no money. So while they're absorbing a big contract, they got a guy at the back of the bullpen that'll save them significant money
And
as
a
well.
general manager who's taken a more aggressive approach than I think we've seen for the Mets in quite a while.
Every day I read about what's going on, and he's in on everybody, which means I think they're going to make a few more moves. But right now, Brian Cashman and the Yankees, you're not hearing a whole lot. The Mets and the Phillies, as Mike's going to talk about, in on everybody at this point. Can't be like that.
I like the fact of what the Mets are doing and the Phillies are going to do is sort of what NBA teams have done. When you've got room, not necessarily cap room in baseball, but you've got room, you'll take on some of those deals to get a real asset. In the NBA, you'll see them take a bad contract to get a high draft pick or get a young player. The Phillies are in on everybody because they have so much money to spend, and their ownership group has it. I mean, the Phillies are a very productive team, at least at the box office and TV-wise, so they have money to spend. They've got a nice, decent young core, but they need some big pieces to go out and spend. So they're going to be in on it. They wanted Diaz too, and the Mets jumped in front of them and got him. So I think they were the kind of teams that might have even taken a guy like Cano too, if you're going to take a bad contract.
But you Harper,
spend money.
Machado, I mean, everybody in
They
Philadelphia's
need it.
name is attached to everybody.
Look, they were in it for a while last year, but their lineup lacked a real bat. And as much as Machado annoyed people in the playoffs and Harper struggled at times, they're both still relatively young guys who you know are going to put up numbers. They'll probably get one of them.
Well, the most interesting part about what's going on here is Seattle, right? What were they, 8 or 9 games over 500 last year? You know, there's been this pattern in professional sports where we'll tear it all down and start over again. But I cannot think of a team that's had a winning record that decided we're going to rip it all apart and try and start over, because with a winning record, you can only tear down so much. So you're now adding a year or two to be able to bottom out, to get back to where you were before. And that's if you're lucky. Like, the risk you're taking with your fan base right now, instead of building on what you have, is remarkable.
That, you know what, something Carl said, but with the Yankees, you don't hear a lot from them. I think that's when they're most dangerous.
Oh, yeah, I think that's a fair statement. But, I mean, come on, listen, with everyone that's coming up for free agency over the next couple of years, you know one of them is landing in the Bronx, right? It's just a matter of time before it happens.
Who do they get? Who do you see?
I really think Manny Machado may end up there, and I know Yankee fans are very lukewarm, Tim, for what you said. But let's face it, that guy's a great player, and if you plug him in as shortstop while Didi rehabs, you've upgraded a position that was already very good.
I think this is kind of funny. I love baseball. I'm a big baseball fan, but I think in some ways the off season is like as good as the in season to talk about these kind of things.
Teams like the Mets aren't out of it yet.
Yeah. And teams like the Yankees, when you make a bad move, it's hard to get out of it. And the Stanton move is looking like one of those that they probably wish they didn't make that move in terms of the money they're going to owe him.
Well, thank God they got a great manager in Aaron Boone who really knows how to handle situations like this.
This is the Rochester Press Box. We are presented by the Genesee Brew House. From the Genesee Brew House, we'll talk about Buffalo Bills next. The Press Box is brought to you in part by Bay & Goodman Pizza, a local Rochester favorite. Corner of North Winton and Browncroft, Bay & Goodman Pizza. Welcome back to the Rochester Press Box from the Genesee Brew House, where the keg tree will be lit this weekend. Hey, let's talk Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
First of all, the Kelvin Benjamin thing, they didn't have to release him in season. Is that a statement that's being made by the organization?
No, I don't really think it's as much a statement. I think, look, they got to a certain point and they move on from him. I thought maybe there was some idea that you hold on to him till the end of his contract and it might help in compensation, but that really won't apply based on what the Bills will probably spend in the offseason and what they'll lose. Look, they gave Benjamin every opportunity. They kept cutting his reps back. They gave him a few more. He wasn't productive. 35 catches in 18 games, 2 touchdowns. It was a failed move. They took a big swing on a guy they should have known more about. Much of that failure is on Benjamin, but the Bills coaches and general manager thought they were going to get more out of him. The perception is he was not a hard worker, at least from the outside, and then you see his play on the field, the lack of production. And I know there was a lot of issues going on. They're changing coaches, changing quarterbacks. But I look at Zay Jones and I go, that guy had a terrible offseason and was injured. He's had those same quarterbacks. He's only in his second year, and he's gotten better every week as it went along. And let's not pretend Kelvin Benjamin is this old player.
Yeah, he's not even in his second contract.
Right, he's still a young player.
I don't know, you ask if they made a statement. The statement would have been made had they released him 4 weeks ago.
Yes.
What I'm shocked is it took, if you were going to do this, which you should have done a while ago, why did you wait until now? And I guess the idea is, you think Zay has the ability to be a number one receiver and it's going to help him grow, not hurt him in his development. But I don't know, man. You hear this coaching staff and front office talk about character and, we want guys in here that are going to work. And you have that in Lorenzo Alexander and Kyle Williams and those guys. But Kelvin Benjamin was the opposite of that the whole time. And by keeping Benjamin on your roster as long as you did, you contradicted yourself. And what are you telling these young guys in the locker room?
Yeah, he was the outlier. I can't think of another guy that I would say there's no effort there, or it's a lack of effort, or that is the issue when you look at him. And they like to have veterans in the room to help each position group. And Sean McDermott went out of his way to talk about bringing in Deontay Thompson, who I like. He is that guy. He's a high-energy guy. He's a guy hanging around the league. They thought they didn't even get that out of Kelvin Benjamin.
I think the most surprising thing is what you said at the beginning of all this. This is a guy they knew.
Yeah.
They were with him in Carolina. They went out to get him because of what they've known, and yet it was an epic failure. And that's what perplexes me the most. If you know a guy, you go get him because he's the guy that fits your culture and your process and all that, and then it just backfires as badly as it did. Why is that? Is that on the coach? Is that on the guy? Combination of the two? It certainly is a bad look for Brandon Beane because it's just one, as we talked earlier, his one big swing, and it's a big swing and a miss.
All right, the game this week, the Bills are favored for the first time this season. They're giving 3.5 to the Jets.
It's interesting. Sam Darnold likely to be back at starting quarterback, and you wonder if this is the first of many Darnold, Allen Bowles, the way it used to be, Marino and Kelly back in the day. Sam Darnold had regressed greatly before the injury. The injury came at a very good time because his last 4 games were not good at all. I think the Bills have another chance to win. I think this is a team trending upward, even though they lost Sunday in Miami. That was a great effort. The Jets and Todd Bowles sinking fast. The Falcons, for some reason, are getting 6 from the Packers. The Packers made the coaching move. It's not a move I would have made, but how can the Falcons, who are getting more healthy on defense, Deion Jones back, get 6 points from a team that is just lost right now?
What do you got?
I've got the Bills winning it, and for them, I'll say a blowout. I'll say they win the game by 10 points, which the Bills don't win that often. I know the Jets have a little bit of a comeback in this game because they got blown out by the Bills before, but I don't see it happening. I think Bowles is sinking. I think he will be gone. I don't like Darnold in the matchup against the Bills, and Josh Allen will play well again, and the Bills defense, I like the Bills to win it pretty handily.
Another game?
I'm taking the Giants. I think they're getting points. It's like 1.5 against the Redskins. The Redskins are atrocious. I mean, atrocious. They've been banged up.
Mark Sanchez.
And I think the Giants win the game.
All right, I won with them last week. I'll take the Bills first time in a month. I like the Bears getting points at home against the Rams.
Okay, I mean, Bills win this game. Darnold coming back first game for how long? The Bills defense is too good. This is a Bills team who blew out the Jets with Matt Barkley as their starting quarterback. Let's put it this way. If the Bills don't put on that kind of performance offensively with Josh Allen in there, we've got serious trouble. And just to make it interesting, I believe that Washington might be a formidable team with the Sanchez at quarterback. I'm taking Washington on that one.
4 yards of offense in the second half.
But 95-yard run from 33-year-old Adrian Peterson.
Yeah, that was it.
And he touched it 4 times after that.
You know what the best thing about all of this is? It's
Explain
the Jets and the Bills. I mean, it's not going to be a great game, and I think we're all looking forward to seeing it. I mean, that's what this whole new regime and the process has brought us.
Last week was the first time, and I can't tell you how long, I was more excited to see the Bills' offense than their defense. I know the defense is good. I know they'll make plays. But Josh Allen made it happen.
People bought into Josh Allen after last week.
Yeah.
This is the Rochester Press Box from the Genesee Brew House. Like it or not is next. Here's the Press Box trivia question brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390.
Today is all about belief. Right? It's not enough for me to believe it. It's not enough for Coach Hill or Coach Barstrom to believe it. You have to be the ones that believe that you are capable of running the way that we all know you are capable of, and that those negative thoughts that are coming into your head, you can acknowledge and push away. What's your response to them going to be? 5 more meters, 5 more meters, 5 more meters.
Here's the Press Box trivia answer brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390. Welcome back to the Rochester Press Box here from the Genesee Brew House. Call this like it or not. There's an old adage in baseball where if you're winning a lot of one-run games, the law of averages catches up with you. So like it or not, the fact that the Buffalo Sabres now have lost 4 one-goal games in a row.
I mean, it's not ideal, but like you said, you had a 10-game win streak where everything was bouncing your way. And listen, the last few games that we've seen here, that Tampa Bay game was insane. The pace was nuts, and the Sabres only lose it by 1. They were in that game the whole time. Of course, you're going to lose the back end of that because you're traveling and you're playing a team the next night. Then you have Nashville, one of the best teams in the NHL. You play them tight. Then you have to travel again to play the other top 2 team in the NHL, the Toronto Maple Leafs, and you were 3 seconds away from taking that into a shootout, and the Sabres hung with the Leafs all night long. Phil Housley matching up the 4th line with the 1st line to grind them down. Beautiful, beautiful hockey. I'm not concerned. It evens itself out. But listen, I feel more confident in this team seeing them hang with Tampa Bay, with Nashville, and knowing that in a 7-game series against the Maple Leafs, it's not a foregone conclusion that the Leafs are going to win that series.
You know what else I would say is, one, not only did they have to travel from Nashville, but the Leafs were waiting for them because they didn't play the night before. And the other part of that is when I watched that game, I thought, this is as good a regular season NHL game as you are going to see. It was great pace back and forth. It was back and forth. Tampa, I think, is better than them. I think Tampa is a better team than them and the more talented team that Toronto is, but I would love to see the Sabres in Toronto in the playoffs.
When you got 11 out of 14, I think their last 14 games now have been 1-goal games. The margin for error is so small for this team.
But how great is it that the reaction is they've lost 4 in a row and everyone's upset? Last year, they lost 4 in a row. It's like, well, that's not too bad. We're doing all right.
2 out of 4, right?
Yeah, it's not bad. You got 2 points. So they've changed the perception and their effort. To your point, that first game down in Tampa, down 2-0 early, you think, all right, here we go. And they came back and continue to come back. This is a different team.
Carl, like it or not, Kareem Hunt's future.
He's going to play again. The difference between Kareem Hunt and Ray Rice isn't what they did, it's what age they did it at. Ray Rice was already a diminished product when he did what he did. Kareem Hunt was at the top of his game. he's going to get another shot. You could debate all you want about should he or does he deserve another shot, but he definitely will sign somewhere else.
And one other issue, again, I haven't blamed Roger Goodell in a while, but idiotic the way this system works. When that happens, the player should immediately go on the commissioner's list and should be ineligible to be claimed when they were talking about waivers. The Redskins picking up Reuben Foster was a bad look for the Redskins and a bad look for the league, and then they put him on the commissioner's list. Should be automatic that he goes on that list. He is an untouchable player at that moment. Let the system go through, then go through the waiver process if that player, or make him a free agent or however you're going to handle it. But at least in this case, nobody picked up Hunt. But to Carl's point, he will play again in the league.
Just quickly, how are they going to, the team that will sign him, how are they spin it?
I mean, listen, it won't be a big deal. Once the guy gets out there on the field when this is far enough away, everyone will forget about it. And to further that point, we'll talk a little bit more about it right after this.
Oh, look
This
at
is
that.
the Rochester Press Box from the Genesee Brew House, and Unfinished Business is next. And now here's this week's MVP Experience Stat of the Week, brought to you by Sport Clips, where it's good to be a guy. No appointment ever needed.
Came now to Eichel. He floated one.
Bacon, egg, cheese. Only one way to make this better. Another one. Dunkin' Go-Tos. Get 2 bacon, egg, and cheese sandwiches for $5. America runs on Dunkin'.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. We are the Rochester Press Box from the Genesee Brew House. Unfinished Business brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. Pat.
We were just talking about Kareem Hunt a second ago, and everybody wants to drop their 2 cents in on what should or shouldn't be done or what did and did not happen. And I found something interesting. The NFL has a problem with the amount of players that are being, accused of things along the lines what Kareem Hunt did. But there's a bigger problem here because I turned on the Bills game against the Dolphins, and the guys that were doing the play-by-play wanted to talk about Kareem Hunt. One of those guys is James Lofton. Google James Lofton controversies personal life. Well, I'll give you a second to do it. Okay. He doesn't seem like a guy, based on his past, that should be taking a moral high ground on somebody. So then, watch that game, turn on the Sunday night game, and Mike Tirico, who used to work for ESPN, starts talking about, Kareem Hunt and what happened. Google Mike Tirico and the things that he's been accused of in his past. It's one thing to have all of these athletes, and I say all of, listen, there are a couple of guys every year that'll be accused of something bad. But now where we're at the point when the guys that are commenting on them can't say anything because of things in their past, Ray Lewis came out and said Kareem Hunt should be banned from the NFL for life because there's no place for violence. Ray Lewis said that. It's bad enough with the athletes. They're put in this situation. They put themselves in this situation. There's nothing they can do about it. But if you've got something in your past that disqualifies you from speaking, just shut up because you're embarrassing all of us. Whatever happened, I'm not going to judge. I don't know if you were guilty. I mean, I will judge, but I don't know if you're guilty. But you make yourself look really, really stupid.
Well, kind of going to piggyback a little bit on what you were talking about. I've never been a lawyer and I've never taken a law class, but I read some John Grisham books, so I have an idea about some things. Colin Kaepernick is suing the NFL for collusion. And while I don't know that they'll ever find the smoking gun that they need to win that collusion case, the smoking gun being an email chain about Colin Kaepernick to all 32 teams or voicemails saying you can't sign this guy. But the Washington Redskins, we talked about it earlier. Colt McCoy is now out. Mark Sanchez is now in. E.J. Manuel got a look a couple weeks ago. Nate Peterman was in Denver this week to get a look. The last time Colin Kaepernick stepped on a football field, he played for a bad team with the 49ers, had 18 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He was diminished from what he was a couple years before. So we can let a guy like Reuben Foster, the Washington Redskins, were very happy to put a claim out on him 2 days after he was arrested for the second time this year for domestic violence. But Colin Kaepernick cannot even get a tryout. I think he's got a case.
The Bills are there too. I mean, they signed 2 guys right off the street, and if you're going to go here, you go there.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to stick with the NFL. Why not pick on Goodell? And it's not just specifically about him, but what they're doing to this game. Look, things are going well on the field for this league. Scoring is up. People are enjoying the game. Ratings are up, and all that is good. what has happened with the officiating, especially the last couple of weeks. Look, Walt Coleman, incompetent. There's another Hockley with his guns throwing flags every other play in the NFL. It seems like the NFL came up with a policy these past few weeks that says, let's try to ruin what has been a great season so far. Look, the Bills make mistakes. The Bills are one of the most penalized teams in the league. But even an objective fan looking at that game goes, enough with the flags. You tell me when you're watching the game, every play you see, certainly every kickoff or punt, you're just waiting for that little yellow tab to come up and say flag because it happens too much. It's a record pace for penalty flags. I don't know why the NFL wants this. I think it hurts the product, and I'm going to say the blame probably goes right to the top.
They did suspend an official for talking to Jerry Hughes, though.
Well, they put him on their list, administrative leave, and that even is a different subject. And Jerry Hughes was obviously mad about the calls, but he was also mad about what he said the referee said to him.
This is the Rochester Press Box from the Genesee Brew House. Unfinished Business was brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. Carl, great as always.
Appreciate
Thank you.
it. Thanks for having me.
Guys,
Thank you.
As always. And thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week with the Rochester Press Box.